Nice.
So bear with us, everyone. You know, we're kind of not fully processed on this yet. This is only our second classroom style video, and also the first one that we've actually done live stream on to YouTube.
And Dwayne is also, he's not in our office with us. He is in his RV motorhome in Jacksonville, Florida. Is that correct?
Yeah, Jacksonville, Florida, correct. And the only thing I have is an AT&T hotspot, so it's quite limited bandwidth. But I have everything else shut off. So I'm going to just go ahead and continue on, Justin. If I lose the connection, I'll just come back on and beg everybody's forgiveness ahead of time here. So,
sounds
all right,
good.
what I have on the screen here is an 878. It's a bare code plug. It's just basically an initialized code plug. There's really nothing in it. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to open up a new code plug that I've already written, and I'm going to call this my demo main code plug number 1. So we'll open that up. All right, so what we have here is I have a few analog channels. Then I have a few simplex, both analog and digital, for this code plug. What I want to do is show you some of the features of the export-import program of the AnyTone CPS here. So we got an OK for the load file. So the main thing we're going to be looking at today is up in the tool menu at the top. We're going to be looking at export and import. Now, what I'm going to be doing first is exporting, because I want to get a list of channels out from the main code plug here, and then I'm going to open up 3 other smaller code plugs or separate code plugs, and we're going to export all that information as well. And then I'm going to move over to Excel, and I'm going to start showing you how to do your cut and paste with Excel. All right, so this is my main code plug. So the first thing I want to do is up to my tool menu. I'm going to go into export. Now, the export channel is pretty powerful. You can export everything that's listed here out of the radio into a CSV file. It also has an export all feature, which I will, if I have time, I'll try to demo that right at the end of the video here. But today we're going to be concentrating just on channel. I want to make kind of clear here that when you're importing and exporting, there's 3 main I guess what you would say files that you want to really concern yourself with. One is channels, the other is zones, and then the third one is talk groups. Those all interact with each other. So when I'm doing my channel updates using export, I typically will do channel, zone, and talk groups, and export those and import those. Today, we're just going to be doing channels. I have a pretty common code plug here, so nothing is going to change in the background for zone or talk groups. We are going to visit zones once I get the full channels into this code plug. So I'm exporting channels now, and I'm going to put it in my download folder, and I'm going to put it in the export import folder, and I'm going to name this channel main 1. And that's going to export everything in my main channel code plug here into a CSV file. So let me get this moved over here. Save that. And I'll go ahead, and what I saved was the channel name and where I'm putting the file. Now I'll export it. It's going to be very fast here. So we'll just do a quick showing you where this is at. I put it in my downloads folder under export import, and this is the first CSV file right here. So we're going to be adding to this next. And what I'm going to do is open up my second code plug. This would be a code plug that you may have gotten from a friend or may have downloaded from our website, and you want to get some of this code plug information for channels into your current code plug. This is probably especially helpful for those that are doing a pre-programmed SkyBridge or DV Mega, because we don't really do local repeaters on that code plug when we give it. So loaded this one. Now you can see what I've got here is some actual analog channels. These are digital channels to an analog repeater. All the frequencies on this are the same, as you can see. And what I've done is I've done some naming conventions here on the channel names. This is so that I can find them later when I want to put them into a zone. So I've named them the name of the repeater, and then the actual code pardon me, talk group that the channel is assigned, and you'll see the name and the talk group matches up. So this is the next export that I'm going to do. I'm going to export the channels, and I'm going to call this one channel 2. And that's going to create a CSV file with that name. So I'm going to save that and export. So this is very repetitive right now. I'm going to be doing a total of 4. So again, I'm going to open up a code plug. We're going to open up the demo code plug number 3 this time. Okay, so this code plug, it looks like if there's any folks from Pennsylvania here, these are some Pennsylvania analog repeaters that I had programmed when I was in that area. One thing you'll notice is I'm also using another naming convention here. I've got an APA in front of this. Again, I use this convention so that I can find these channels when I go and put them in a zone. So this is an analog channel. This is, I think that's Lancaster Central receive only type channel. And these are 3 or 4 different local analog repeaters in the Pennsylvania area. So you'll notice I have a lot of space up here. It's not really that important, but I'm going to show you how to get rid of that space as well as doing everything we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and make another export here. I'm going to export the channels, and I'm going to put them in the export import folder, and this will be channel 3 files. All right. I got this chat window open, so it's making me move this screen around. But all right, so we're going to be putting this number 3 CSV and exporting it into that same folder. And then last but not least, we'll open the number 4. I'm pretty sure this is NOAA channels. So don't be surprised when it pops up as NOAA channels. Okay, so these are NOAA channels 1 through 7, all analog. You'll notice that the receive frequency is outside the amateur radio band, but that the transmit frequency, I use the default UHF frequency because we won't be transmitting on these. And if you're on an amateur band mode in the radio, which many people are, this is this outside the amateur band frequency won't take into the transmit mode because it's locked out. So this is how I set up my NOAA channels. All right, let's go ahead and export them. I think I hit the wrong button there. There we go. Okay. And got to put them in the same export import folder. And this is going to be channels 4 CSV. All right. And we'll export. All right. All right, so at this point, we've exported 4 different code plugs, and we've exported the channels out to CSV files. So we're going to move off of this screen. We're just going to minimize this. I'm going to open up my import-export folder. The first one I'm going to look at in Excel is I'm going to open up the main channel. So this is my main channel right here. And kind of probably try to keep these smaller. We'll see if we can do that here. So what I want to do, this is our main channel. This is the first code plug. It has all the channels that were in that code plug. So since this is the first one, I want to point something really important out to everyone here. You'll notice that there's 2 very high line item number channels, 4001 and 4002. These are default VFO
We're not
channels.
seeing that, what you're looking at.
What's that, sir?
We're not seeing what you're looking at.
Okay, hang on. Thank you, guys. Thanks for jumping in. How's that? Got it now?
Yeah, that's better, Dwayne.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, we're still learning this one out. Thought I shared the whole screen. Maybe I didn't, but that's fine. Here we go. So this is basically line item numbers right here for channels. And the two at the bottom are critical. These are default channels for the VFO in the AnyTone radio. You do not want to delete these channels. These channels need to stay there. Sometimes they'll be named 4001. Some of the different versions of the CPS will name them VFOA, VFOB, but they'll definitely all be down at the bottom of the channel listing. So the way this happens, this exports everything that's in there, and it skips any channels that aren't active. So that's why we have only 14 channels. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to open up our second CSV. I'm going to try to figure out the sharing on this one here. All right. Let me stop the share and start the share. All right. Is that the full screen, Justin?
Yes. Yep. Looks
Okay,
like.
so we should have my main Excel CSV file on the right and the new number 2 on the left.
Yep, that's correct. That's what
Okay.
we're seeing.
Great. Okay. Again, you're going to see these 4001, 4002 channels. I'm just going to go ahead and save the ones that I want to keep. They're the same because I use the same initial code plug on this. So let's see if I can get this in here. I will just go ahead and copy. So 2 Excel spreadsheets, main one on the right, adding channels from the left. So all we have to do, since I know these are the same versions of the CPS and all the headers are going to be the same, the only thing I have to do is I have to grab the channels that I want to put over into the main code plug. So we'll copy these, and then I'm going to put them above these channels here. So we'll insert the copied cells. And now we have additional channels into the main code plug. And we're pretty much finished with this particular number 2. So we'll close that. Not going to save it. Going to open up number 3 now. Move this over to the left so we can see it. So these are some of the other analog channels that I had in here. So we're going to do the same thing. This is the 3rd code plug exported to a CSV file. We'll grab these channels, copy them. I'm going to put them over here. I'm going to insert the copied cells. So you see we're inserting channel lines and channels, but we're keeping our 4001, 4002s the same. Okay, so we'll close this one. We'll do the last one, which is the NOAA one. All right, move this over to the left. Got our 7 NOAA channels. So we're going to go ahead and copy and paste them. All right, so what we've done is we started out with about 11 channels, and we're down now to about 30 here. So let's go ahead and shut the spreadsheet that we don't need. We're going to open up this a little bit wider. So what we've got now is we've got a channel CSV once I save it to main. This CSV file can now be imported into your customer programming software. So before I do that, I'm going to go into a little bit of tips and tricks, so to speak. If you notice all the line items here, if we tried to import this particular CSV file, we'd get some error messages because there's duplicated line items. So what we want to do is we want to highlight the line item numbers that are in the number column here. And I'm going to delete the contents of them or clear the contents of them. So now what's going to happen when I save this again, when the CPS imports, it's going to import and assign channel line items to the ones that are blank. And I'm going to do that. And then after I do that, we're going to go ahead and start doing some sorting and show you how to do a little bit of that. But let's just go ahead and hide that guy. hide that guy, get back up into the, everybody's still seeing the same screen here? All right, I'm gonna open up.
Yeah, we're back into your CPS. Is that where we're
That
supposed to
sounds
be?
good. Okay, so it's supposed to be that. So right now I'm gonna be opening up the main code plug, which is the #1 code plug that I started with. When it opens, okay. So this is the about 11 channels and a couple of blank lines. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go up to the tool menu, and in this time I'm gonna import the information from the main channel one that we saved. So I'm gonna do an import. This screen pops up. It's got a lot of information on it. It's basically a warning screen. AnyTone started using this a couple of CPS versions ago. What they're trying to say here is that older CPS versions may not work with newer CPS version code plugs. And so you may end up having some errors on your import and your exports. Typically, the program's smart enough to ignore most of the errors, and errors that it can't fix, it'll show up when you do the import. So this is nothing more than an informational screen. We'll just click OK on it. Now I'm gonna import channels, and I want to import from the channels that I have in export import. And the one I want to save now is the main CSV. I want to open that up because we added a bunch of channels to that. So I selected it, and now we'll do the import. If I did everything right, we got all those channels into the code plug, as you can see.
Hey, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Can
Go
I
ahead,
interject
Justin.
a question real quick from Tom?
Oh, sure, Tom, I guess.
Yeah, he was asking what the purpose of the 4001 and 4002 channels are.
Okay, they are for the VFO, the default VFO channels that are required to be in the code plug.
Cool, thank you.
So yeah, we can take a look at them since we've got this. This is a consolidated code plug. All of the channels are now in this code plug here. So I'm gonna go down, we'll go all the way down to bottom, and there's your two 4001, 4002s. Now you notice I said that they would be named possibly 4001, 4002. In this case, they're in the 4001, 4002 line item, but they're named VFOA and VFOB. And this is done when you do the import, depending upon the version of the CPS you're using. The CPS knows what it wants to put in there, and it does it automatically. These are the two channels that I did not touch. And again, you'll see one is VFO A1, VFO B1. So those are your, all the way at the bottom of your channels on any code plug that's working correctly, you'll see these two VFO channels. Hopefully that gives you a little bit better explanation here. So, okay, so we've actually now, I'm gonna actually save this code plug. All right, so we've got the channels in there. Now, putting in this many different channels into a single code plug, we've got to make sure we check and see what's happening with our zones. Even though these, that's why I said that the channels, the zones, and the talk groups were the three important files that you really want to import and export at the same time when you're doing this. In my case, I knew that they were going to be the same because I created these code plugs from the same CPS. When you're getting it from somebody else, that may not be the case. So you want to make sure that you check your talk groups and check your zones. So I'll show you talk groups real quick. This is a full talk list group. This is everything that I wanted in mine. Okay, I got 45. There are people that will load the entire Brandmeister set of talk groups. There's nothing wrong with that. I just find that it gets to be a little bit cumbersome when you have, you know, a couple hundred talk groups. Again, we have our channels 1 through 29 now. We'll take a look at our zones. So basically, this zone now was a zone that I had with was called open spot. It was for my open spot. That's the way I originally started this code plug. It's no longer a valid zone because we've made so many channel changes. We've scrambled everything. So what I'm going to do now is open this zone up, and let's start with NOAA. I'm going to rename this to the NOAA zone. Let's do it all in caps here. And I'm actually going to get rid of everything that was in here. I'm going to move it over to the available channel side. This zone, I just want my NOAA channels. So you're starting to notice, I hope, that my naming convention is very helpful in this particular case. I have my NOAA channels named as that. I'm going to bring them one at a time all over into the NOAA zone. Okay, so now we'll have a zone called NOAA here. And when you turn to that zone in your radio after we write it, you'll have 7 channels, and they will be the frequencies for NOAA from 1 through 7. Now, normally you'd only be using one of these locally because there's going to be one NOAA frequency strong enough in your area to be legible. Anyway, so that's one zone there. We're going to click OK on that. So we've changed that now to NOAA zone, 7 channels. I'm going to go ahead and create a second zone now. And what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to name this analog. And again, my naming convention, okay, I have A for analog, AB for simplex, and then down further, I've got some APAs down here. So what I'm going to do in this particular case is I'm not going to do a simplex code plug or a zone, I'm sorry. I'm just going to go ahead and put every analog channel into the analog zone, with the exception of Pennsylvania. I want to keep that one separate. So there we go. We got 10 channels into that zone. When we go to analog, we're going to see these 10 analog channels. Click OK. I'm going to create a third zone here. Now, this one here, I'm going to actually put in these repeaters right here. This is a digital repeater, K7BEN. Now, with digital channels, the frequency in and out of the repeater is the same, but the talk group numbers change as you develop your talk groups that are going out through that repeater. Again, with my naming convention, I want to keep all the channels for this repeater in this zone. So I name the channels with the zone name so I could find them when I do this, moving them over into the channel section for that zone. So this is all the K7BEN zone channels in there now. And you'll see that all the channels will be available when we go to a new zone. So there's a lot of power in this. So that's the third zone. I'm going to create one more zone. All right. And I'm going to call this one PA analog. And this would be local repeaters in Pennsylvania. Again, I have my naming convention down here. I've got APA. APA are all local Lancaster County local analog repeaters. Okay, so that we've now assigned all the channels to zones properly. What I want to look at next is my digital channels. So let's. I'm thinking that I'm gonna want to sort this now to digital channels. So I'm going to save this code plug right now. All right. And I'm going to actually do another export. Now that I've got everything in there and the zones assigned, I'm going to do an export, and I'm going to export the channels, and I'm going to call it the main channel. We're going to overwrite the main channel here. It asked me if I want to overwrite. I'm also going to put zones in here. So I'm going to change the name to zone main 1. Also going to export talk groups. Again, we're just going to change the name from zones to talk groups. So what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to start exporting and importing as if this was my real code plug, and I want to make sure that I stay synchronized between my channels, my zones, and my talk groups. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do this export, and I get an error on channel main for some reason. We'll figure that one out as we go here. Export complete. And everything was imported, so I'm not sure why they had an error there. looks like it was a false positive from AnyTone's CPS. Okay, so I've done this export. Let's open up this Excel again. Now, remember, I changed this, so I need to reopen the channel main CSV file. And actually, I'm actually going to do it a different way. I'm going to shut it down, and I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to grab it from here instead so that I know I have it. So make this a full screen. So we've got channel name, and we've got the type channel here. So this is where we get into some of the more creative ways of using the Excel to do some sorting. So I'm going to highlight all of these rows here. Okay. What I want to do is I want to get the digital and the analog channel separate. So I'm going to go up into the data menu, and I'm going to do a sort. I'm slowing down a little bit. Data menu, sort in Excel. This will work in any of the open source spreadsheet programs as well. So the first thing I want to sort by is column E, which is the type. A for analog. And I'm actually going to add a level, and I'm going to sort also by name. All right, so I'll click OK. And we now have everything sorted the way I wanted. I'm going to save this file again. Pull this down. Open up my code plug. And in this particular case now, I want to import the new channels. Ignore this. Channel main. Remember, I'm going to be doing 3. I want to keep everything synchronized with my zones. In this particular case, it wouldn't make any difference because this code plug is common for zones and talk groups. So we'll be importing channels, zones, and talk groups. And our channels should be sorted so that I can see the digital channels sorted separately from the analog channels. Okay. So there we are. We've got digital channels and we've got the analog channels. So for the purposes of this little training session, I'm going to insert paste. I copied a blank line, and I'm going to insert paste the blank line between my analog and my digitals. Okay. So here's something that's happened now with a couple of my channels in digital. And this is what I wanted to show you here. In this particular case, the 107858 channel is a special channel. I'm not even going to keep that in this. I'm going to delete it. Now, my repeater K7BEN, my digital repeater, for the 3100 national channel, it kept the correct talk group. For the 31066 state Southern California, it kept the talk group. However, on 3112 Florida, we lost our talk group association. So I've got to go back in and fix this. So we're going to look for the under local here, contact and talk group in the AnyTone programming software for channels is the same. So we're going to look for a channel or a talk group. And Florida was 3112 FL. I'll put that in there. Click OK. And we've fixed it. Now, my PA state remained the same. However, I lost my North America 93 code talk group. So again, we're going to jump up there. Look for 93 North America. And there it is right there. We'll set that talk group back to what it is. And now I'm going to save this code plug. How are we doing on time, Justin?
We're doing good. It's 12:30 right now. So
Okay,
yeah.
so we've got time for me to do. I think we'll take a a minute to see if there's any questions based on what I've done so far. If you could handle that for me, Justin, I'd appreciate it.
Justin, is there any problem with recording these?
Yeah, sorry, I don't have everybody pulled up. I don't know who asked that question. But we are recording it. We're recording it and plan on releasing it on our channels immediately afterwards.
Okay, thank you. Because I was wondering, I hit the record button. It said about asking permission.
Yeah, no, we're recording it ourselves, and it'll be like on our YouTube and Facebook channels immediately after we're done today. So,
Thank you.
and then
Yeah,
Dwayne,
Ed, I think what you're asking is, really, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I think I was just gonna relay Ed's question to you. So if you're seeing it, go ahead.
Yeah, basically, I think that it's not, I don't think you should be recording this. This is a BridgeCom learning session type thing. So, however, we are not going to hide it. It's going to be out on YouTube. So you'll be able to see it at YouTube, but it is, I'm pretty sure we'll copyright this. So, yeah, I would not record it. That's something, Justin, we may want to talk about later on in the next sessions at the beginning.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering why, I tried it and it didn't work. So it's understandable.
Okay. Well, we're open for questions right now. I'm going to go on and show everyone how to do a complete export and a complete import of a code plug. But before I do that, I wanted to, let's stop now. If I went too fast or something's not clear, I'd like to take care of it now with anyone that has questions.
I have a question. This is David Tinker. Can you hear me?
Barely, but go ahead.
Okay, I'll speak up. We changed the position for these channels in this code plug. Does that change anything when it is going over to the zones? I mean, like if I take something from position 30 and move it up to 19 there, like, does everything stay the same in the zones?
All right, I wasn't able to get all of that. It was really broken up. Did you get it, Justin?
Not all of it. No. Something about zones. Can you try repeating that?
Let me try again. Can you hear me better now? No.
Yeah.
I'm turning my volume up, so go ahead.
Okay. We changed the position.
Try again.
We changed the position of the channels in our code plug there. Does that affect anything in the zones that we already had set up?
Oh, yeah. So the question is, we changed the positions of the channels when I was doing these Excel work. And the question is, did it do anything to the zones you already have? The answer is absolutely yes. The zones that I have set up now, analog, NOAA, the K7BN, and the PA analog, they were all set up in the previous code plugs already. But because we did such a outrageous change of the location of those channels when we did the import and cut and paste in Excel, those zones got confused and they left. So when I went into the zone, the only thing that was up here was a zone that wasn't really even correct. It was called OS. So that's why I took the time to reset my zones with the proper channels of them. Does that answer your question okay?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Okay. And that's what go ahead.
I was just going to say we had another question that someone sent to us. So if you've still got some on that question. Okay, I'll ask it. He said, are all digital repeaters open to accept all talk groups, or do owners filter or limit them?
Yeah, both. So what you want to look into, it's a little bit off topic here, but I want to answer it. The best way to handle a digital repeater is to look it up on a responsible website. I use mostly repeaterbook.com. And in repeaterbook.com, if it's a digital repeater, it should have a talk group list that you can open up, and it'll tell you the common talk groups on the repeater. Now, it depends upon the repeater owner, how he sets his repeater up. He can limit the repeater to only the talk groups he wants, or he can leave it open to where you can access the repeater and dynamically set a talk group. It's really repeater owner, repeater person, repeater coordinator. It's really their decision on how they set up. They have a lot of flexibility in that. So what do I normally see? If it's a good repeater and it's well documented in repeaterbook.com, they will have a list that you can click on and open up, and it'll tell you the talk group and the time slot for the talk group number. And it'll also tell you whether it's a static on all the time talk group, or whether it's a PTT, a push to talk, or what's called a dynamic talk group. And if I find a repeater, and I do this often, I might be working with someone out in another state or another county, I don't know, and I look at Repeater Book and there's no list of talk groups, it becomes an open issue for me because I don't know really what to program at that point. So I'll typically do a popular talk group like 3100, and I'll put it in as time slot 1 and test it and see what happens. But when you reach that point, if you reach a repeater in a repeaterbook.com or one of the other repeater listings, and it doesn't show you the talk groups and the time slots, it's an open issue. And what I recommend is emailing or contacting the repeater owner and asking him, hey, do you have any defined talk groups? What can I use on your repeater, and what time slots should I be looking to use? Hopefully that answers it.
Okay, we got one more. This is from Ed Meyer. And Dwayne, you know that I'm not as versed on this as you are, so if you already answered,
No worries.
I apologize. But he asked, now that we've imported the channels, is there a way to show that the zones are still configured the way we want?
Well, yeah, we kind of answered it, but what we need to do, I'm going to go over the zones here. I reconfigured these zones, Ed. So as part of my demo, I said, hey, let me create a new zone here, and I named it. And then I said, okay, here's one. Let's do it this way. It's a good example. Let me put all my simplex channels in one zone here.
Hey, Dwayne.
So, yes.
Yeah, the question really was, we had done all the channel combining, and then you exported all of that and the zone and the talk groups out, and then you brought them back in and then changed your channels up a little bit. So I was just curious, like on analog or the K7BEN or the PA analog, are all those channels still in those zones now that you have? Because you've gone out and back.
Yes, yeah, and that's a great question. Let's cancel this. We don't have to do it. So once I got all the channels in here, and before I did that main export, I reassigned all the zone and channels. And then, like I said, it's important to keep 3 things synchronized when you're doing this: channels, zones, and talk groups. So after I set these zones up, I exported all 3 of those. I sorted and exported all 3 back in, and the only thing I sorted was the channels. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that was the question.
Good. Okay.
But could you just open up your K7BEN zone and just?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. No problem at all. There it is. And they're all over there. See, the channel, the CPS is extremely smart.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, it'll associate as long as you've got all the channels in there when you make this zone assignment, it's going to remember it. And more than likely, if you wanted to add some channels later, these zones will probably stay the same. You could probably do this again. For the purposes of this training, I left all the zones the way they were in the raw code plug. So you could actually unassign your zones. If you follow what I mean, you could just delete all the zones in the new code plug you want to bring channels over from. Just get rid of them and bring your channels over. Those channels are going to be new to this code plug. So they're not going to know where to put them, and they just won't put them in a zone. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
All right. Dwayne, have you got anything else you wanted to go over?
If we have time, we have about 10 minutes, you think, Justin?
Yeah, it's only 12:40, so yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. The only thing I have a question to the group right now. Am I being clear enough and slow enough to get the information out to you guys?
Works for me.
Okay. Nobody has a problem with my speed or following. Great. That's great. That's important to me because I want to make sure that when I present the information, it's clear to you guys. So, all right, we're going to start with something special now, something a little bit different. I'm going to set this up a little bit for us. Let's say you get a code plug from a friend, and you find out that when you go to use his code plug, it won't write to the radio. Maybe it gives you maybe a band error. I mean, he may have written the code plug in a commercial band and your radio's an amateur band. So there's a way to export everything out of the CPS with one file name. And then you can actually import everything from the CPS with one file name. I'm going to show you that right now. So we're going to go, this is my main code plug. This is the code plug that we were saving and keeping. So we're going to go up to the tool menu, and I'm going to do an export. And in this case, I'm going to use the top button, which is all the way across. And it's on the export, they do a good job. It says export all and to use the default CSA file name. So it'll use all these default file names. So let's go ahead and do an export all. Now, you'll notice that it's going to save a file here called an LST. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you download the export all into a new folder so that it doesn't get confused with any other exports that you've done. So I created a folder earlier called export all, import all. So we're going to load that way. And I'm going to say, we'll name this all CSV main. Okay, so it's our main code plug, every CSV. Going to move over here and save that. Remember, this is an LST file name, but we're going to be exporting CSVs. And the purpose of this for AnyTone is so you don't have to go in and select every CSV file. You'll be able to select just this list file, one file, and it'll import everything. So let's save this. Now this takes a little bit longer because we're saving everything. Boy, if this was one of my videos, I'd be pausing right now so we didn't have to wait. When you're live streaming, we can't do that. So I'll thank you guys for coming on board today. It's appreciated. This is a new service that we're working on to really get some information out there. Looks like somebody's polling here. Can I close this, Justin?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, all right. So my export all is complete. Okay. So I want to show you what happened in that folder, which was export all, import all. You see every CSV file was saved, but there's a main LST file, list file as well. If I go into the older import export that we played around with where we just did a few channels, there's no list file. It's just strictly the CSV file names. This one we have. So you see why I want you to use a separate folder when you do an export all. These names are going to be default names. So you could overwrite. If you've done this before, you could overwrite it. Maybe you don't want to overwrite it. So a lot of times I'll actually date my folder all exports with a date. But this is what you're going to see if you looked in the folder. Now, we're going to go back to the CPS. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to erase this code plug by doing a set initialization. Now we have a brand new code plug here, okay? So we're going to go ahead and do the import of everything. Ignore this nonsense. I'm going to import. This is import all. It actually says import from file list, which is pretty accurate. We'll open that up. The only thing that you see in the folder is the list file. So it makes it very easy for you to select that and do your import. Again, we have a timing thing here. We have to wait. There's quite a bit of data in there. Probably my digital contact list is probably pretty full in this code plug. I typically don't erase the contacts when I'm playing around like this. So normally I'd be doing this to consolidate a couple code plugs and actually build a new code plug. So while we're waiting here, all it's going to do is import everything in. Some of the other things you can do here, let's say we have a 442 frequency for K7BEN. You made a mistake on the frequency. So we need to change the frequency on all the K7BEN channels. We can highlight them like this. Let's see, go into the home menu. We could do a find and select with Excel. This is a little bit advanced, but I wanted to at least give you some teasers on some things you can do. So we'll replace this. So we'll replace 442, and we're going to replace it with 111. And because I live dangerously, I'm going to just go replace all. And there it is. It's replaced everything in that. Okay. So we really don't want to do that. So let's just reverse this process. And the reason you're not seeing any period or segmented or extra O's is the on a non extension frequency, it just keeps the main frequency. So we're going to replace all the ones that we changed to 111 to 442. And there it is, you're done. Okay. So you could do this. Let's say you had another repeater that you wanted to get into. You could change the frequencies on these. You could copy these channels. We could insert, paste them, insert the copied cells. I could highlight all these. I can say, let's change KE7BEN. Whoops. I can make typos as well, as you guys can see. And let's change it to my call sign. Replace all. Okay, now I have the channel names stayed the same. The groups stayed the same. The frequencies will be different. We'll go ahead and click OK here. I'll highlight my input frequencies. I'll search for them, 442, and let's make them 447 just for replace all. Oops. Go. Well, that's kind of weird. Let me highlight these a little bit better here. Never had that happen before, but hey, it's a live stream, so anything is possible. We had to do an escape so that this copy field was taken care of. So let's go ahead now, we'll do the same thing and we'll change this to 447. Don't know why I won't do it. Let's try it this way here. Start over again. It's always worked before. How come one of you guys messed me up? Can't find a match. Oh, that's awful odd. So we're going to do it the hard way. We'll just copy and paste. So we'll do a few of them. Not sure why my Excel's not working, but I don't want to waste a whole bunch of time trying to figure that out. As you saw with the name, it should work. So I'm not going to try to go into troubleshooting that. We'll just get this changed around. I think what you do is you'll get the idea of what you can do here, and then make sure you always save. This list, it holds the fact that it's not, numbers are not there. Okay, so there's no number line items. So this is a good way. You could save this. It'll add these as new channels now. So we'll save that. In the meantime, let's go back to our import here. Import's complete. So I don't know if you remember, but I started with a default code plug with only 2 channels in it. We did the import all. The channels came in, the zones came in, the talk groups came in. The only thing that doesn't get saved and posted are the optional settings. And AnyTone has not figured out, there's like 12 or 14 tabs in here, and they haven't figured out how to parse that yet. And it might even be a little bit harder than what they want to do at this point. But optional settings, power on settings, display settings, when you do this import all, export all to a new code plug, you're going to have to set them. All right. Okay, that's pretty much about my time for today. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions real quick on the import, export all.
All right. For this question and answer time, you can go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any questions for Dwayne and shoot away. Just be respectful of everybody else in the group here. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
You give me great hope for the future.
Okay. Yeah, you know, this is a really powerful tool, and it's not well documented by AnyTone by any way, shape, and form. So we're going to continue to do live streams and videos on some of the more advanced features. And at the same time, we've already realized that we have a lot of new hams that are buying radios. So we're actually tailoring a lot of our videos to the brand new hams, which is what we did last 2 weeks ago for the live stream. It was basically, what do you do when you take your 878 out of the box? So this one is more of an advanced thing. What do you want to do when you want to copy a code plug information that someone else gave you? Thank you.
Warren, you got a question? You can go ahead and unmute.
Yeah. The question I've got is maybe you just answered it. The frequency of these sessions and maybe a 3 or 4 sessions ahead list of what you're going to cover.
Yeah, we're gonna do this every other week, so we'll take a break next week, and then the following Thursday. I don't know what date that is. Let's see, today's the 5th, so that'll be the 19th, I believe. Will be our next time. We haven't decided what topics we're going to cover yet. Dwayne's the expert on this, so we're leaving it up to him. He is going to be choosing more complex issues involving the AnyTone radios. Every Wednesday we have a live stream with our founder and owner Ron, and he's covering a lot of basic AnyTone DMR stuff. So these sessions that Dwayne's doing are going to be reserved for more complex issues, and that's why we also have a room of 10 or 12 people rather than just live streaming it.
So how do we get signed up so we get alerted on these if we can zoom in?
Yeah, we have. So for this one, we had a form that we sent out and asked everybody to fill out. If you're here, you filled that out. So each week before the session, we'll probably do the same, where we send out a form via email and social media, where we give a short description of what Dwayne's going to be covering, and if you want to join, go ahead and fill out that form. It'll probably be the same questions as the previous form, but we'll probably just do a new form since Dwayne's going to be covering a new topic.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And Justin, I believe we're going to be live streaming these on YouTube on Thursdays as well, every other Thursday, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. So today was our
Yeah.
first day doing that. I don't know how many total people were watching on YouTube. That was
So there's
kind of a last minute decision. So there might not have been a ton of people on YouTube watching.
Yeah. We've been trying to perfect this a little bit. As you can tell, we're not professional presenters here, but the information has got to get across the hams, and that's what we're trying to do. So even if you're not an attendee of the meeting, you should be able to watch the training live. I don't know if we'll be taking any chat questions. That'll probably be something we decide in the future from the YouTube side. I don't think we can we, Justin?
No. No, that's not a possibility.
No. So it would just be follow along. And then if you had a question, we'll figure out a way for you guys to get the questions that you have in, and we can answer them afterwards.
Speaking of questions or suggestions,
As long as I don't get 1,000 questions.
you might want to have those pop-up.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
During the session, directed to the attendees off screen, because that was really an interruption in your presentation, Dwayne. Those pop-up questions.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, the polls. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Well, I think, I think we would probably keep this to the same format where I'll go through content, and then before it becomes overwhelming and I jump into something a little bit more advanced, I'll take questions to make sure that what I presented was clear. And today I went a little bit actually over. I think we were shooting for 45 minutes, and we're still learning. Next time, I don't think I'll think we'll just take 10 minutes of questions just rather than go on. But I mean, the export import all is a good feature. So, as we tailor this, we'll get better at it.
All right. We're right at 1 o'clock here. Does anybody have any final questions?
Great job. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all.
Yeah, thanks for participating
with us. We hope this was helpful.
Yep.
Yeah, and thanks for asking questions and being engaged. Like I said at the beginning, this is being recorded, and we plan on publishing it to our YouTube and social media accounts right after this, as soon as we can this afternoon. So if you want to rewatch any of it, you're certainly going to be able to do that. And keep in mind, we've got our owner Ron doing live streams on YouTube and Facebook every Wednesday. This is going to be an every other Thursday thing. So sometime probably in 2 weeks, the week of the 19th, be on the lookout in your email and on social media. We'll have another form to fill out if you'd like to participate. So thank you all for joining us. Don't forget, we've got our Double Trouble giveaway going on. It ends November the 15th. So that's next Sunday. It's on our website, so you can rack up as many entries for that as you can. And thank